I have some background in engineering and a little bit science. So I was fascinated about the universe, how it's constructed. But basically, as we are living, there's matter in the universe, like dark matter or black hole or all sorts of different kind of stars, and how the atoms make crash or create the iron and whatever the particles that bring out all the stuff into the universe, and then gradually those may be formed as the planet or the sun or the galaxy, and then the birth of being, living being may be there. To me, scientifically, I hear all the stories and I'm fascinated. But the more connected to that fascination is the fact that I'm alive here. I'm living being here out of the dust of the universe. How can it be? And I think this is the most interesting, uh, most amazing phenomena and the wonder, the miracle of the universe that I am living and talking like this and sharing ideas. Maybe nobody is listening, but still I can try to communicate into the darkness or for myself. And who is this person, myself? And it's fascinating what constitutes me and how I function and how I think or suffer or be awakened or enlightened, whatever the term is, and live the life and posting things on the YouTube. And even if someone can listen or may not listen, it doesn't matter. I can do it. Free spirited idea. And I'm not religious in the sense of cult and so forth, but in Japanese, religion, shukyo, means the the source of all the teaching. And I like that idea. There's a teaching behind religion or spiritual issues, the subject, which goes to the core of our being. And I was fascinated, or at the beginning, I was quite unsure what this existence is. So I started from all the darkness unknown into this field, and over years and years and practicing this and that, the meditation and Zen, more related to those uh, practices and their saying, and so much puzzle in there, and I didn't understand, but that's fascinated me to want to know. And going through the experience of this and that, I posted here and there the awakening or facing death or how I feel and how I live and want to live better and to figure out what I can do to facilitate or understand or learn and be a person that I could be or beyond the person after death. I don't think about after death, but I shared some views about death in the past so that you go back to the dust of universe. But it's okay. I said no regret, no desire when I face death in one of those videos. But what's fascinated me and start to realize, not in the brain, but in the existence of the sensation and all that, is the particles vibrating within my body. That's one way to put it. And I see my body as empty, clear, open, and yet it functions. Why is it empty, clear, and open? I don't know, maybe it's just the feeling of the void or emptiness or the spaciousness. That's Eckhart Tolle about the spaciousness that within yourself there's or within your mind there's spaciousness. Start with the mind. The mind can be empty. We use the mind and we get confused with how the mind is functioning, but you can let go of the mind functioning and then start to distill the water, so to speak, so the waves get clear and the surface clear, so you can go see the depth of your existence and then connect to that. When you connect to that, then there's that vibration and the spaciousness and openness and the liberated feeling, not confined by any thought. So I think it's touching the being, the existence at the core level or close to the core level, because I don't know how to explain the core level as much as what happens after the black hole, is created, whatever, I don't know. And there are lots of unknowns. Unknowns are there, but I'm speaking still. I'm feeling it, the existence or the sense of the sensation, sense of the vibration and the clarity that I can also feel. Not all the time, but much more often than before, because I have more quiet and calm mind. So I feel, although there are lots of disturbances out there that influences me, but that's part of living. Without the disturbance, you don't see the clarity. And if there's only clarity, you don't see what the clarity is. So this existence tells me that I can experience the miracle or the paradox of unknown, but knowing within the unknown. So or it appears to be a knowing or realization of unknown and still be free and relaxed and totally, if you use the word liberated. Okay, not all the time, because mind can cut into the way and throw this situation to be this and that, maybe a disease of one kind, or the financial loss, or the relationship, or some chaotic situation in the world, in the politics or the climate, and what can you do? So many challenges, but still at the core, there is that unknown. And knowing the unknown and being relaxed in the unknown is a special skill or the moment or something that break through our confined way of living. So someone says in the darkness there's light. And if there's light, there's darkness. So I laugh about these things. And if there's anybody listening, it may not make sense, but actually, just give you a story from yesterday. I met this Dutch woman at my town, this is the village at the shore, and she was appreciating the fact that she's here. Also, she was, after our talk, she was starting to talk about her experience of coming out of the Netherlands to here. This is in New Zealand. And she has spent 15 years here. But one moment was the case of what I call awakening. And she was happy to hear that word because she couldn't express what that moment was. But anyway, in that instance, she was in one of those villages with a small church and visiting the church. And then start to realize that she started to cry, tears flowing, and she couldn't tell. It happened day after day after day. And she explained to me, if I can summarize, there's a certain way of living in Holland, in this case, the Netherlands, and to do this, to do that, there's something to be done. So she was going through that process, as many others would do, and then coming out of the Netherlands and then visited here and there and coming down to this country and the island here and there and start to realize there's a different way of living. And that was a challenge for her because on one end there was a certain way of living, and then on the other hand is the more free spirited way of living. and she couldn't reconcile. But on this occasion of going through the church attending and not knowing why, but she was with full of tears flowing, was the moment of cleansing, so to speak, redemption, whatever the word. I have no idea. Anyway, beyond the church and whatever, she went through that, and then she came to a realization of some kind. We talked that the doing nothing is not easy, but in doing nothing, there's something that we can appreciate. So that kind of points just like in meditation. You just sit and don't think. No mind, empty mind, calm and quiet mind. What's the point of that? The world of business and activities want to use our mind and do the work and get things done and all of that. But it's the opposite. Going through one way is one living, going to the other way almost. But through this experience, she was realizing there's something in nothingness, if I may say so. It's kind of like out of nothing, there's something, the mind, and we are born. Maybe that's what it is. And we talked about, or I said that I don't care what you call this miracle of us being here out of the dust of universe. I can use the word God or nature's way. It doesn't matter. But the miracle is miracle. And I think, at least I know that's how I feel almost every day. Amazing stuff is happening of just the cloud moving and the seagull flying or meeting the shark in the water and the tomatoes growing and the sun is rising and all that. So this is maybe the spaciousness and the craziness in your mind. I may accept that, but why am I talking it? That's another question. Because realization of some kind, like we feel, or I feel, or she felt, it's something so powerful beyond any mind understanding or our control, but still we do exist. Isn't there appreciation being alive? Being able to appreciate is another higher level of appreciation, perhaps. And if you have that, all the matters of the life and other issues that we may go through may become or may be seen in a different light, as if to know what those activities were in a different dimension. So it's kind of like putting the mirror to look at yourself or look at yourself in a different light. I mentioned in the other video that I felt at a certain point that I cannot get out of this confinement and the darkness, and I was picturing myself looking as if looking from above the corner of the room with that camera, one of those camera that YouTube, modern day technology can supply. So you are in turmoil, but you can see yourself in turmoil. And if you have that ability to do that, that open up the possibility, or that may make that realization of what is happening in a different light. And I think that led to my, what I call the awakening experience of going through the pain. And why am I having a pain? Is that because I'm trying to escape the pain? That released the binding in that occasion. It's the unknown power within that may manifest in whatever the moment that happens and releases the energy in a natural way so that the confinement developed by the mind or whatever you face may be broken, because that confinement may be only found and is mind created, by the created by the mind. Of course it is. I said it's like watching the screen on TV. That's in the mind. But that is that the living? No, you're just watching in your mind. The living is a direct experience. I think I mentioned that in the previous video. I mentioned about I forgot what I mentioned, but let me think. I mentioned in the previous video something about the awakened state, the direct experience and subjective experience of that nature. So what I'm doing here, or I tried to do, was just to revisit the same, but from different angle. In this video series, I'm always going to a certain direction or a certain point, but coming from all different experience bases that I go through, so that as a whole of my talking, I'm capturing uncapturable because I'm just explaining the phenomena and I call it some event and there's awakening or the wisdom and where it comes and how it affects and how I feel enlightened or amazed or happy or liberated, so that I want to keep this sense living with me and not losing that out of me, so that I can, or I don't know, I can, or I can, so that I can, it's a funny expression, appreciate or realize or fully engaged or happy to live as I am. And the sensation and the awareness or realization of wisdom is so powerful, I cannot stop but keep on affirming such experience the best I can. My word may not carry the point, but at the same time, like talking to the dark universe, out of the living person, so I think I'm living, expressing, and feel happy, be liberated about it. Okay, I'm nutty and weird to spend my time or waste your time if you're listening this far. But isn't there something that motivate us or stimulate us or empower us or enlighten us from where we are? And if so, in any moment, isn't there some kind of threat or some kind of a way to reach out and experience and capture and be with the flow of that universe, the way of things happening, as a very interesting and important fact of life? Thank you.